you, Mr Deputy Speaker. The Morrison Government has the back of every Australian and never more than through the COVID pandemic. Not only do we know it, but every Australian knows it, except those opposite. Now, Mr Deputy Speaker, Australia has faced a pretty serious pandemic, but we know that protecting the lives and livelihoods in each and every one of Australian citizens is incredibly important, and that's why we're delivering for the needs of all Australians. Mr Deputy Speaker, suppress the virus, keep Australians safe, tick. Cement our economic recovery to create jobs, tick. Continue to guarantee the essential services the Australians rely on, tick. Protect and secure Australia's interests in a challenging world, tick. Care for our country, tick. Mr Deputy Speaker, we are the envy of the world with regards to both saving lives and saving livelihoods. You just have to look at the facts. Employment surged by 115,000 in May to a record high, Mr Deputy Speaker. Full-time employment rose by 97,500, another record high. The unemployment rate fell by 0.4 points to 5.1% in May, another record. Mr Deputy Speaker, after the first recession in nearly 30 years, the Australian economy is roaring back, bigger, stronger and leading the world. Participation is up, underemployment is down, 115,000 new jobs were created, of which 85% were full-time jobs. And of those 115,000 new jobs, around 60% went to women. Today, there are more women in work than ever before. And the numbers should give Australians confidence that the Morrison Government's economic plan is working, a plan that's been laid out with successive budgets. Lower taxes, investment incentives for business, skills programs and record spending on infrastructure. It is the Morrison Government's economic plan that is delivering more jobs across Australia. But, Mr Deputy Speaker, not just right across Australia, in every single electorate right across Australia. And in the seat of Higgins, my great seat of Higgins, over 6,600 individuals in Higgins received the coronavirus supplement, which was added to JobKeeper to provide additional support through the COVID pandemic crisis. I'm also proud that this government has increased the job seeker rate to help those in need. It's the biggest increase in the last 30 years. And furthermore, around 9,300 aged pensioners and over 1,800 carers in Higgins received 3 support payments since the start of the pandemic, totalling $1,250 each. In Higgins, there's been over 500,000 telehealth consultations through Medicare, which is an incredible transformation. The healthcare system has been transformed by our investment and our strategic direction. We've also increased funding for preschools in Higgins and made childcare more affordable and accessible. Childcare reforms in this budget will directly benefit over 850 families living in Higgins. We've delivered a record investment in aged care to help the 23,181 senior Australians living in Higgins. We've delivered more home care places, more funding for residential aged care, and increased the amount of time residents are cared for while strengthening regulators to monitor and enforce the standards of care. Mr Deputy Speaker, by contrast, those opposite are not standing up for Australians. A case in hand is Labor's arena disallowance motion. Labor sided with the Greens to vote against a technology-led approach to reducing emissions. Labor voted to cut $192 million of new funding for Clean Energy Agency arena and programs that would create 1,400 new jobs. When it comes to reducing emissions, Mr Deputy Speaker, if it's not technology, Labor thinks it has to be taxes. Taxes are Labor's track record. Labor has shown their true colours. Chris Bowen and Labor have never seen a tax they didn't like. The regulation Labor voted down would have allowed ARENA to play a major role in driving investments in the next generation of technologies, including energy efficiency, carbon capture technologies, blue hydrogen, energy storage technologies to back up renewable energy, technologies that reduce emissions from aluminium and steel, and investing in soil carbon. These are the technologies of the future. These are the technologies we're investing in. These are the technologies that will get us to a cleaner, greener, new energy future. This is the way of the future, and Australia believes in a government that can and has delivered. Mr Deputy Speaker, if the alternative of those opposite were here on this side, Australia's interests would have gone in the wrong direction. Mr Deputy Speaker, Australia knows this government has their back. The opposition doesn't. It's the Morrison government each and every time.
I call the member